Well, welcome everybody. We're going to continue our series of 4D classes. And today we've got Nico and Larisa. And as was requested by Larisa some months ago, a really good idea that we invite 4D providers to come in and talk. And so I thought Larisa would be a good choice, and she's agreed. She's going to be the guest presenter today at our session. So welcome, Larisa.
Thank you very much, Charlie. I am glad to do it.
So we can start with the questions that I put together. Larisa, how did you first experience/encounter the 4D system?
So I had the privilege and the pleasure to meet with Charlie virtually at the beginning, probably about 12 or 13 years ago, something like that. I was trying to figure out what was the first year, and I was going through our correspondence. I think I saw the earliest emails in 2000, 13 years ago. So anyway, and this is when I start really learning more about the 4D. Started from reading Charlie's book, which is wonderful, and I recommend anyone and everyone who is interested. I think this is the best way you can start, because it's just really part of Charlie's life, and it's just such a passionate thing. It has a lot of different background information, so I would strongly recommend anyone to read the book.
Thank you, Larisa. It's got 5-star reviews on Amazon, and it continues to sell, which is very unusual for when I talked with the publisher. He said what really matters is the first year or two. After that, no one will buy it. It's not true. People are still buying it because I get royalty checks. They're not a lot of money, $400 or $500 a year, but it just means the book is people still buying it. So that's fun.
I'm one of those who continues to purchase those books because
Thank you,
when
Larisa.
I provide training when I provide training, I usually provide free of charge books.
Oh, nice.
And that's how I purchase those books on Amazon. Yes.
So Larisa, what characteristics of the 4D system do you find most compelling?
So I'm not separating one from another. If I may share, if I have few slides to share with those who might be interested in diving a little bit more in depth. So if you would provide me
Go ahead,
with
you can take it.
Sure.
You should be able to share. There you
Yeah.
go.
So first, let me just clarify. I started to use 4D in my training in my global STEM classroom program when I worked with teachers in 12 different countries. So that was the first time when I started using 4D. And these 4 core behaviors are very important from my perspective. I would not be separating one from another because it's just it's part of the whole concept. So from my perspective, they really go hand in hand. So in order for you to appreciate 4D, you need to really review it as not as separate things, but a part of the whole system. So that's my perspective.
Good, very good. That's absolutely right. I sort of sometimes call it like you're looking into the center of a diamond through different facets.
Absolutely.
Very good. More about what you like about it?
What I like about it, the applications are endless because we all humans, we all work in different capacities, different professions. We really have affinity to different disciplines. But this is really universally applicable to any discipline, to any profession, to any way you really work with people. So, from my perspective, this is one of the really unique aspects of 4D system, because there are other systems and there are other tools and other assessment methodologies, but they most often than not apply to a certain areas of expertise, and 4D is truly universal.
Very good. To what extent have you integrated the work into your personal life?
100%. It really it really helps me because I have to confess for don't tell anyone, but my confession is I am 100% green and my husband is 100% orange. So so imagine our life. So orange and green. So we are part of the whole system. We really understand each other, but 4D plays an important role in our life.
Did you want to show more of your slides?
Yeah, I can show because I have a very sort of condensed
Yeah.
a version of slides. And for some of you who might be interested, and if you will find it useful, I'm happy to share it. But I would like to give credits to my colleague and a friend whom I met, many thanks through Charlie. Her name is Diana Brennan. You introduced me to Diana, and she is a wonderful human being. She is a outstanding training provider. She went back to school and got her doctoral degree. So I should say I'm giving credits to Dr. Diana Brennan. So thank you, Diana. If you're listening, this slide deck is really served that well. And we're really, really grateful for you to work with us. Thank you, Diana. So this is how there are only 8 slides, so it will not take a lot of time. So Diana really, per my request, and we worked together on this, put a very short, very condensed description of 4D. If I will go back to the beginning, so this is how we named the presentation. This was really made for educators around the world. So, and Diana, Dr. Brennan and I, we thought that we will name it Global Teamwork, a highly valued 21st century skill set, which is absolutely true. So this is the subtitle is Applying 4D Systems Technology to Create and Sustain High-Performing Teams Within NASA and Beyond. So we, of course, talk about Dr. Charlie Pellerin. We really admire universally. There is a universal admiration for Dr. Pellerin around the world. And as I said, that every teacher, every educator or faculty member, they received the book from us, 4D, from 4D that was written by Charlie. And they all are really in awe of what Charlie was doing and how he shared his life with all readers. It's very generous sharing, and I would strongly recommend all of you to purchase the book and read it. So we reviewed the story, what was happening before 4D. So, and as you probably know, the story about Hubble Space Telescope and the skilled people with pride in their work. And we, of course, shared the story that Charlie shared with us about the pressure to be ready for launch, the nuances about miscommunication, and not always working as a team. The summary and the bottom line of this, how the team works together, it matters a lot. So then we spent some time reviewing and sharing with our educators Dr. Pellerin's findings as he developed 4D. So you see it from the slide, but the bottom line message is ignoring or not sharing something that might be very important because of group pressure does matter a lot. The leader not noticing poor teamwork really key to many of these technical and not only technical but social problems. And culture or traditions are not always recognized. So, and you see these pictures on the slide that Dr. Pellerin is talking about in the. It's a different tragic events, but they all have a similar root, the same root of the problem. So we spent some time discussing this. Unfortunately, those tragedies happen. It's a very big price to pay for what not was paid attention to. And Charlie also spent some time reviewing in details. And again, I refer to the book that Dr. Pellerin wrote, as well as to his slides that he's very generously shared with anyone and everyone who wants to learn. So you see the 4D system applied to a Columbia accident. So in NASA 2003 disaster reinforced the need for 4D's work. So that's the bottom line message. It's a tragic event. And if NASA would go and apply 4D system before all of these tragic events, most likely these events would not be happening. We would not lose human lives. So then we proceed with reviewing the 4D organizing system. We're reviewing the emotional, the logical, the intuitor, and the sensor. And the right coordinate system can turn an impossible problem into two really hard ones. That's the quote from Charlie's book. And that was a very interesting I found it fascinating how Charlie, at the beginning, when he thought about developing 4D system, and when he was analyzing a lot of data and gone through his thinking process, how he realized what is the answer to his difficult questions, how to really present that, how to organize this into a very eloquent system. So you can read the story, how it came about in the book. It's very interesting. And for me, it was especially interesting how what was the logic behind it. So, and then we talk about the 4 dimensions of leadership. As you know, there are four, as Dr. Pellerin developed it, four dimensions of leadership, starting from cultivating dimension, where people are important, proceeding to the yellow, including dimension, where the team is important. And next one would be the visioning dimension, where the big ideas are important. And finally, the orange color, where it's a directing dimension, where finishing the work is important. So it's really a very elegant, very eloquent system, and that really describes it all, describes all complicated way how people lead in four very clearly described and defined dimensions. So that really says it all. And then, as Dr. Pellerin taught us, we review the four core behaviors. So, and for educators, it was really an aha moment, because the pedagogical profession is really concentrate on developing, nurturing, and developing core behaviors in the students. So this was an aha moment for educators, not only in the US, but around the world. And I appreciate the experience that we had working together it was a collaborative effort, and I can talk more about this, share more with any of you who are interested. So it was a very interesting 12-year experience working together with educators in US, in France, in Mexico, Netherlands, in UK, in Switzerland, Norway, and other countries. So as I don't know if you're interested what happened after the 12-year experience working with that wonderful team, but I was truly, truly privileged to start working with NASA. NASA also has engineering. It's 99% engineering, a little bit of helping educators. I shouldn't say a little bit because it was a huge and still is a huge help, but NASA really invests into supporting global education, which is really admirable a commitment because NASA is 99% engineering and technology, but they still find time and resources and funding to support global education. So as I said, for all educators from our original team on 12 countries, the aha moment was when we start describing the 8 core behaviors. So you can read from the slide, but it's just very important for me to really highlight the importance of each and every core behavior. To express authentic appreciation. People need to feel valued by you. It's very important lesson. Another core behavior in the green quadrant is address shared interest. Finding a shared purpose is extremely important. Then moving to the yellow quadrant, the core behavior in the yellow quadrant would be appropriately include others. People need to feel included by you. If they don't feel included, it's a disaster. So another core behavior in the yellow quadrant is keep your agreement. People will learn they can trust you. Trust is a very, very significant, it would be understatement to say that trust is important. Trust is a key. And for those of you who are following Dr. Pellerin work and know me as his student and as his really big fan, sort of big follower, that I also do involved in science in education diplomacy. So in diplomacy especially, trust is a key. So you can really not make any progress without developing trust. Moving to the blue quadrant, express reality-based optimism. Be able to see a way forward to work through the challenge. That's something that is really many people are struggling with and really need to concentrate to really master that behavior. So, and another very important in the blue quadrant behavior, be outcome committed. Know what you are committed to and show it. So in each and every single word in this slide is absolutely important. So I would advise you to think, and many thanks to Charlie for developing this because it's a very succinct, very straight to the point description. So there are no additional or extra words in this slide. Each and every word is very well thought through, and it's just really a key to your understanding of 8 core behaviors. And the last quadrant in this system would be orange quadrant. Avoid blaming and complaining, meaning take responsibility for your action. It's very important core behavior, of course. And another in the yellow quadrant, the 8 core behavior would be to clarify roles, accountability, and authority, and don't make any assumptions. So these are, if I for those who are in education or training business, so to speak, you might really find it. You might find it really see the aha moment from your colleagues. As I said, especially in education and in diplomacy, where people train to really appreciate and nurture and develop core behaviors. This is the key. So, and that's basically it. And the last slide, I also love when Charlie used this quote in his training. And this is one of my favorite quotes after I learned it from Charlie. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And it's a quote that I learned from Dr. Charlie Pellerin, but it's a quote from Margaret Mead, anthropologist. So thank you, Charlie.
Very,
This is what we've been using in education for the last many years. And as I said, I found it that in diplomacy, I even start from that the aid behavior slide. So thank you, Charlie.
thank you, Larissa. I enjoyed that. Would you want to talk about some of your more memorable moments in using 4D with your groups or your teams or in your life?
Sure, absolutely. I'm using it as we speak, and I'm privileged to work with NASA Global Education. As you probably know, that NASA works with global educators around the world. I invite every one of you who are listening this recording to learn more. It's a publicly available information. You can Google it, and you can find all that information online. NASA Global Education Program is based on bilateral agreements between 127 countries around the world in the US. So I could not really say that I already used 4D with all 127 countries educators, but at this point, I probably from 12 countries, that was original cohort, original group that really was introduced to 4D and used 4D very actively. So right now I'm working with probably about 25, 26 countries. And what I am doing as I master 4D, I'm especially interested how it works in different cultures. So when I form the teams of educators, I bring educators from different cultures. So, for example, I can give you a name. One of the interesting experience when members of our educators team was education teachers from U.S. And needless to say, U.S. also has very many cultures. So if you work with educators from the North, or if you work with educators from the South, or if you work with educators from the East or West, the cultures are very distinctly all these cultures are very interesting and very rich cultures. But if you work with educators from US, you need to understand the cultural differences between all of these cultures. So, and I had a very good experience connecting teachers from US with teachers from Mexico, teachers from South America, from Uruguay, in Argentina, and educators from Europe, from Norway, from Switzerland, and from UK, and also teachers from Asia. So that was an interesting combination of different cultural aspects of it. What really amazed me that I thought we're going to have a different read of 4D system, different takes, and maybe some pushback even. I'm as a trainer, I'm ready for any kind of feedback, and I appreciate any kind of feedback. We don't have to agree with everything. We need to learn and practice how to disagree respectfully. So needless to say that a lot of people have many different perspectives. So my expectations working with that group was that maybe we will have different takes on 4D system. Dr. Pellerin, I am reporting to you. So my hypothesis that we will have different takes did not stand. It really did not confirm. So in fact, as Dr. Pellerin taught us, it's very universal. So it's not depending on any culture. It's absolutely universally applicable. So that was my lesson learned. And for those of you who are working in different countries and different cultures, I'm happy to share with you my experience running this in multicultural global teams. So that's bottom line. It's universally applicable and it's universally appreciated and universally really being grateful for in different cultures. So I hope I answered your question, Dr. Pellerin.
Thank you. Let's see if Nico or Darinka have some questions for you.
To me, well, first of all, thank you, Larisa. This was really great, and it's always like for me, it's always good to have the pictures to remind me of those characteristics. So that is interesting. I mean, I know you work a lot in a sphere of the diplomacy. So it's really, if you can tell us a little bit more about applying this to the world of diplomacy, where do you see it?
Sure.
How can it be helpful?
Sure, absolutely. So I am from diplomacy. I could not really claim that I am a diplomat. So I had a privilege and a pleasure and a great honor to really join the new profession of science diplomacy. So I studied science diplomacy. I took many different courses on science diplomacy, and then it was my journey to really make it through my work in global education to science diplomacy. So in fact, NASA Global Education Initiative is environmental science diplomacy through education. I will repeat it for the sake of really for you to remember it. So NASA Global Education is a program that really represents itself as a leader in environmental science diplomacy through education. And this is where I am privileged and an honor to really name myself as an environmental science diplomacy educator. So right now, I am truly honored and privileged that I was welcomed by United Nations Institute for Training and Research in New York. And I was not only a fellow there, but after some time, the teaching faculty of the UN Institute invited me to join the team of teaching faculty. And again, I truly privileged and treasure that experience. So needless to say, what was my first message when I met with all teaching faculty? And my first question, have you ever learned about the 4D system? Do you know about the work of Charlie Pellerin? And to my surprise, none of them did. So, and needless to say, I said, when you have some free time, I would be happy to provide you a short lecture or short workshop, short seminar on 4D, which as I did. And I was very surprised that many of my teaching faculty colleagues from UN joined my workshop. And I would like to report to you, to Dr. Pellerin and to all of you that it was, again, one of the interesting and very amazing experience that I had because they were all in awe of clarity and really the wisdom behind the 4D. And they all, I said, I will send you books because I'm purchasing the boxes of 4D, how NASA build teams books. So if you will come to my office, I always have a box of books standing right next to my table. So in my colleagues, my new colleagues from UN, they said they would be happy to really purchase it themselves, and that's where probably the
Thank you, Larisa.
yes, absolutely.
Primary
So
marketing.
yes, I'm really a public relations, I guess, person. So And I believe that many of them not only became a strong follower with Charlie, some of them, I believe, contacted Dr. Pellerin on LinkedIn. Many of them read the book, and some of them incorporated 4D into their teaching. So I'm very, very proud that I shared it with my colleagues in my new profession in environmental science diplomacy. And I feel that it just really it just was a gap in that environmental science diplomacy understanding, because these four core behaviors really must have as a knowledge in diplomatic arena, because what we do in diplomacy, we bring people from different cultures, different regions, different professions, and we're trying to find the common ground, right? So we need to learn how to work together, how to really authentically respect different perspectives, and especially from the point of view of authenticity. As I always say, you can probably teach someone to really say right words without meaning it. So this in diplomacy, this doesn't work. So you have to master your 8 core behaviors, and it has to become part of your new being, so to speak. Because if you only study it and remember it and really include it into your vocabulary without meaning it, in diplomacy, you can't really be successful with it, because in diplomacy, we can see through people. So if someone sits on the other side of the table in a diplomatic negotiations, and if he or she says the right words without meaning it, you can immediately see it. So 4D system really helps people to understand why and what and how. So that's, and I can talk about this endlessly. I just want to leave some time for other questions. So for those of you who are interested in learning more about science diplomacy and 4D connection, I'm happy to really spend more time on a separate seminar. I just want to make sure to respect everybody's time. Darinka, thank you for your great question, Darinka, as always.
Yeah, thank you. I think we are overdue for a break.
Oh yes, Darinka, you're always famous for reminding us about the necessity of the breaks. That's actually, I incorporated into my work life again as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Charlie, the floor is yours. Are you announcing the break?
How about, you want to do the break? Okay, let's do the break. Everybody, the break is a time to cleanse the toxins that come into your blood, especially if you're sitting. So get up and exercise for a little bit. I recommend deep knee squats because it uses the biggest muscles in your body. So we'll take a 30-second pause for everybody to move.
Thank you, Darinka, for always keeping us on the schedule
You're welcome.
and reminding us.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Larisa, for the answer. It's very, very insightful, and it's also it also stands out how you're respectful of Charlie's work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You are a scientist and very accomplished person in your own right, but it's really amazing how you show appreciation to Charlie.
Oh, Thank you, always.
And you've mastered appreciation, Larissa, no doubt.
Yeah.
And you've also
Thank you.
mastered the associated abundance mindset.
Thank you. Coming from all of you means a lot. Thank you.
Any questions from South Africa?
Oh yeah, always, always. As you guys know me by now, very much into human development and the team development, relationships, etc. And especially through Larissa, I had the opportunity of taking it up, to the UNICEF, UNESCO circles and the NASA Globe program and so on. But my challenge in South Africa is to bring it down to what we call grassroots level, whether it be a Nelson movement, and to make it work for them. So my question to Larissa will be, like more on a personal level, from all the principles and insights coming from 4D, just give us one example of how you're applying it for yourself and in your interaction and in your teaching and so on, making people aware. And just to give her 30 seconds to think about that one, I really need to share with you, for instance, there's a couple of them, but the principle of rationalize deviance made such a huge impact on me. And working with mindsets in South Africa, I'm applying it in the following way. Because if I say rationalize deviance, they won't even know what I'm talking about. That's not the level of English in South Africa. So I usually talk or refer to a fork in the road for your thinking, for your mindset. So when you recognize the red line and green line, which is another principle, I will say, no, there you go left again. You should have gone right, You blame yourself. You take all the guilt, feelings of guilt. That's not necessary. You're actually not even in the picture. This is about the course. So you should have gone right. And then you notice in time how people tend to be in that habit of brain paths, and then how to make them aware. So later on, they say all they see when they think about these stuff is this fork in the road, how they have to go left or right. But that's a way of a practical application of the principle of deviance. So Larissa, just thought of sharing that with you as well.
Sure, I'm happy to do it. What really helps to understand applicability is really stems from the next sort of stage of development of 4D, when Charlie developed very eloquent system for IDA and TDA. So it's a team development assessment and individual development assessment. So when you talk about the specific recommendations for a person from your team or any team, Nelson is a wonderful example. So I can help you to develop a language that would be, I am myself, as you hear, English is my third language. So I completely understand, and I can really relate to the needs of those who speak different languages. So yes, it's very important to really use the language that would be understandable for those whose English is not the first language. I completely relate to that. But first, you as a training provider, or you as a leader in 4D who really tries to share your knowledge and expertise with your team members, you need to meet your team members where they are, using Dr. Pellerin language. So you need to make an effort. But what really might be helpful to you to make that journey, so to speak, if you will review again the specific example of IDA. So when you might want to spend some time to really do the self-assessment, or maybe one of our providers. If I'll have time, I would be happy to work with you and conduct the IDA for you if you would like. We can really do that exercise together. Not today, of course, it takes some time, but why I suggested for you, although I completely understand all of the where your question is coming from, what might be very helpful to you is really see the language in the transcript after the IDA is completed. So Charlie, if I may share a screen again, I can still do that, right?
Sure, go ahead, yep.
So let me just, for those of you who are listening this and recording, I would like to share this with, give me a thumbs up if you see it. Okay, thank you. So this is the specific diagram that really after the IDA was conducted, that really shows the relative ranking of behaviors. So as you probably see from this diagram, all these 4 quadrants are being assessed. And again, it's really amazing. And I believe that Dr. Pellerin, when Charlie realized the absolutely priceless value of this IDA and TDA, that's when Dr. Pellerin decided to really release this work and share it with the world. So and it's really a generous gesture, and it's a very generous sharing of Dr. Charles Pellerin, because it really made a difference in so many people's lives and so many teams' work. So, and I'm sure it's avoided many different disastrous outcome from different teams' work mistakes. So this is where you see these relative ranking of behaviors. So let me just explain more why I think it would be helpful to you in order to really find the appropriate language to really share it with your B. and Nelson movement. So let's just scroll down through this. So this is where the language is shared with the individual who was assessed through IDA methodology. So this is where you see the specific examples of expressing authentic appreciation. So this is where you can really see how a person was assessed on individual level. So this is the language that you might want to think about and really translate into your language. Maybe some of your B. and Nelson speak Afrikaner, or maybe some of your participants came from Europe and speak only French or Spanish. So this is where you can really gather some examples in language that would be helpful to you. And these are also at the bottom of this, in the middle of this, there are actions and exercises that really strongly recommended based on this assessment. So so as you can see, the expressing authentic appreciation was assessed in the specific examples were shared here on this IDA. And the action and exercises that were recommended is spelled out here. So this is where you can really translate the very specific example for each quadrant, translating into French, Spanish, Afrikaner, or any other language. And based on this, you could just say, this is your characteristics from green quadrant assessed as such. And then you could just say, these are the actions and exercises that are really recommended based on this assessment. So I hope I'm answering your question. So let me see where you probably, it's not a secret, this was, I'm only sharing with you the private information that was shared with me. So this is the addressing share interest quadrant. And these are the specific examples that other people really provided assessing my behavior in that quadrant. So in the specific actions and exercises that were recommended based on this are really interesting example how to do it. So there are reasons why my colleagues rated my behavior as they did. So and this is where I can advise you to really, if you and I, Nico, I'm happy to do it with you. If you and I, we will do it together, IDA. Of course, the results will be kept confidential, and I only shared with you, I disclosed with you my personal information. I did not break any promises or agreement with anyone else because whenever I conduct IDA or TDA, I keep everything confidential, and I never break my promises and my agreements. So, Nico, if we will conduct the IDA with you, I would be happy to work with you on a specific language. I don't want to say simplified language because it might be sort of disrespectful to some degree, but I would just be able to adjust it to your reality, so to speak. So it's not
If you,
simplification. Yeah, it's adjustment to your specific case. Go ahead.
yeah, if you can deal with my humor by now, you know, because what I want to say is I've just sent you a Zoom link for in 10 minutes when this call ends, can start.
Okay, no problem, no problem. I'm
No,
happy to do
I
it.
really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I'm going to take you up on this. I need to get into this space to become more effective for where I am now. Building up this movement up to this prototype where it is now, it is time for 4D. Thank you so much.
Nico, I have to
Appreciate.
apologize. Starting at the beginning of hour and 12 noon my time, I teach a class, so I
No,
would
no,
not
no, no,
be
no.
able to stay with you, but I promise we will arrange something, and I will go through that exercise with you.
No, that was really a joke. I don't expect that. We
All
will set a
right.
time. Thank you so much.
All right. No, it's just I want to make sure you understand I'm not I'm happy to help you. It's just my schedule is my calendar is going
Yeah.
minute by minute. So and I apologize. We might be able to meet sometime next week, but I'm happy to do it. Again, I'm happy to share with you my specific assessment data and go through very specific language, and where I will show it to you how I'm helping people to adjust to their specific culture, to their specific language, without really saying that they don't need simplification. They just need the appropriate translation. That's all it is. I hope I answered
Yeah,
your
but I mean,
question.
yeah, but you always give like ample appreciation. There's no lack of that. That's your strength. You always acknowledge it over and over. What I want to say to everybody listening to this, I haven't experienced so much support from one individual, you know, abroad. We haven't even met in person, but you are really always willing and supporting and willing to give me time with different groups that we already started with and so on. So yeah, Larissa, it is just an amazing spirit
Thank you.
that
Thank you,
that
Nico.
you share, especially then with South Africa, but I know with how many other people all over the world. So it's
Thank you. Thank
sincere
you.
word of
Thank you.
thanks.
Nico, I'm blushing as I'm listening because honestly, you give me too much credit because I really I struggle with my very busy schedule, and I'm trying to really help as many people as I can. But sometimes I'm running into really a conflict of schedule. And I ended up, because I promised people to help and I follow my agreements, and that ends up having 4 a.m. meetings or midnight meetings or something like that, because I could not possibly really fit in everything in my 24/7 schedule.
Yeah.
But so thank you. What I'm trying to say, thank you for forgiving me for not being able to really be every time where you need me to be. So you're giving me a lot of credits, which I probably don't deserve, but I appreciate your words. Thank you, Nico.
Right, thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, but that was Junko calling from Japan, so I had to,
Oh, of course. No, of course.
she's fine.
She's fine? Okay.
Great. Regards to her.
Yes, I hope she enjoyed her first long flight after COVID.
Well, it was actually kind of scary because we had one of these typical windstorms we had lately.
Oh,
And when I left the airport, flights were lined up as far as the eye could see. And she had a transfer to make, but it only 20 minutes late, so we're all fine.
yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Send
Anyway.
our best to her.
Will do. So, any more questions for Larissa?
We got more than we've expected. Thank you so much.
Yes. For those who are listening this, I strongly recommend to purchase the book, to read the book, to think it through with a pencil and paper, and then to really dive into the wealth of information that Charlie is so generously providing. So this is a gift to humanity, to be honest with you, a very generous gift.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Larissa, for very heartwarming, entertaining, thoughtful, informative discussion.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your interest and thank you for inviting me. And many thanks to Charlie for inviting me to be his assistant during his in-person training, which I had a privilege and a pleasure to do. And I also would like to thank Charlie's colleague, Frank, whom I had a pleasure and a privilege to assist right before COVID when we celebrated Frank's birthday, I believe. So that was really a special occasion. But Frank, of course, used all Charlie's slides, which were really guiding us through that. It was really a successful training at Goddard Flight Center.
So we're gonna, thank you, Larissa. We're gonna wrap up and give you 4 minutes of respite before your next event.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a great week. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.